once again to Profiles in Quality, an interview program with the leading names in quality management. I'm Mike Richmond, your host. Following is the final part of our 3-episode interview with Mike Micklewright. In previous episodes, Mike has spoken convincingly about the need for U.S. manufacturers to address root causes and the hidden costs of outsourcing. Now, listen as Mike advocates for continual, not continuous, improvement, and talks up a 5S program that's near and dear to his heart. Earlier you were talking about definitions, and that's an important idea. For instance, continuous improvement versus continual improvement. How do you draw the line between those two things?
Well, it's kind of interesting because Kaizen, or the word Kaizen, a lot of people interpret that word different ways, and I think that the given definition that most people accept is continuous improvement, and that is an important distinction. Continual is you do this something at a periodic basis, like you continually improve at your dancing. How do you do that? Are you dancing around all day long? No. You go to a dance class once or twice a week. That's continual improvement of dancing. Okay? But if you go if you're in traffic, that's a continuous flow of cars. It's one after the other. Okay? The interesting thing about that is continual improvement is really what the United States does. Okay? Six Sigma encourages projects. Okay? Once a month project, whatever it might be. That's continual. You're doing it once every certain period of time.
It's a batch approach.
It's a batch approach, exactly. So the ironic part about that is that what we're doing is doing a batch process of continual improvement to get rid of batch processing. Okay, and that's how ironic it is. But still,
when you say it that way, but it makes a lot of sense, right?
Exactly. And so so we do that in the United States. But true Kaizen is continuous improvement, and it's building that culture, the culture of people, that allows for people to make the little tiny improvements every single day. I don't see that much in the United States. Those companies that are either working on ISO 9001, they do continual improvement. In fact, that's one of the elements in the standard. It's called continual improvement. Those that do Six Sigma, and even those that do Lean. Most organizations that do Lean do a continual improvement process, where they do a Kaizen event, 3 to 5 days, one big batch. You do nothing but improve an area all at one time.
And then you move on.
And then you move on.
But that's not what we should be doing.
Exactly. We should not be doing that. We should be doing continuous improvement every single day. But that means you're going to have to change the culture and the structure, and you might even have to change leadership responsibilities. There's a lot of books out there that talk about how to develop a lean culture. One I love is Creating a Lean Culture by David Mann. And he talks about building leader standard work. So standard work for actual leaders that they have to do every single day or week or whatever, and daily accountability meetings, and visual controls, and the leadership discipline, and the Gemba walks and so forth. Those types of things will help to build continuous improvement activities within an organization, not just project work.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know you're a proponent of 5S, and you're doing a special project that I'm interested in. I think is very cool. On 5S. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
With regard to 5S, it's kind of am I an advocate of it? Absolutely. But you know what it is? 5S is only a solution, once again, to root cause analysis. That's all it was. I mean, there might have been an example one time where an engineer in a plant created a defect. And so they wanted to review and go over and find out what happened. Maybe an operator and an engineer are working together, and they're trying to determine, well, what happened? So they go out to the area, they look at the area, they recreate the scene, and they start to determine, and the operator might say something like, well, you know what, I do believe last week I was using the wrong tool. And the engineer might say, well, why? So he's starting the 5 why process. Why did you use the wrong tool? Well, he says, well, I couldn't find the right tool. And he says, well, why couldn't you find the right tool? Well, look at this place, it's just completely organized, it's chaotic, there's things all over the place. And he says, well, why is it like that? And so at that point they said, okay, well, let's organize the area. Let's organize the area. And so they got rid of all the junk, they sorted it out, then they put things in specific areas where it should be, and identified locations where it should be. And they got it all cleaned up, everything's sparkling new and everything's pretty, and you would expect that, okay, work is going to be better. But then the engineer said, well, why? One more time. Why was your place not organized as it was? He said, well, because we don't have a system. So they developed a system, and the system was 5S. That's what we should be doing. Again, 5S is just a solution. But Americans say, hey, let's go do 5S somewhere. We'll go do that area. without doing root cause analysis on what are the problems in that area. Same thing with quick changeover, okay? Maybe you have a cash flow problem. Someone says, well, why do you have a cash flow problem? Well, because we have a lot of inventory. Why do you have a lot of inventory? Well, we have to have a lot of inventory. It takes up a lot of time to change over a machine. Why does it take so much time to change over a machine? Well, because equipment and tools are in different places and in different locations, and you got to do certain things when the equipment is down. And so after that, quick changeover methodology came to be. Okay, so those
change of dies, that kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. And so those tools, all those tools are solutions, and that's what Americans, the great copiers of the world, okay, the great copiers of the world, that's what we love. We love the tools instead of just doing simple things and following simple principles.
Right. So get back to the 5S project that you're on, because this to me is interesting, and I think it's exciting that you're working on this. So
okay.
Tell us about this a little bit.
Well, again, in the spirit of waste and getting rid of waste, I saw another waste, and I see it with many organizations. They do 5S, they get rid of the stuff that they haven't used for a long time, they put it into an area that's cordoned off, okay? And in some companies they say, okay, that stuff, it could be materials, could be nice furniture, could be nice computers and so forth, that stuff will be trashed in 2 weeks if no one claims it. And so it sits there for 2 weeks, and then they trash it. And one time I saw a company do this, and at the same time, the church that I go to was doing a huge drive, and it's a big church, and they were sending containers. They actually sent 13 containers to 2 different countries in Africa. And the stuff that we saw, I mean, there's computers and printers and furniture, and I thought, this stuff is being trashed with all these U.S. companies and other companies around the world that is trying to 5S and get rid of their stuff. Well, that wasteful stuff is someone else's good stuff, and they could use that. And I think, what a shame. So the website I built it's called 5S for Charity. So the number 5S, F-O-R, charity.org. The purpose is to match up or try to match up organizations that are doing 5S with charities that can use some of that stuff, equipment and furniture and so forth. And I'm looking for, it's just been built, and I'm looking for charities to start putting their information on the website. And any help that you can provide to me, I would love that, because I'd love to see this thing work.
That's what I.
Good.
Great. Well, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
And thanks for the insights.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.